Ed Reed was at his zenith in 2008. The do-it-all safety teamed with Ray Lewis, Haloti Ngata, and Terrell Suggs to lead Baltimore all the way to the AFC Championship, even with a rookie quarterback. But his 11 takeaways and 3 defensive touchdowns weren't enough to capture the MVP. Instead, voters went with Peyton Manning in a pretty average year, at least for him. Just over 4,000 passing yards and 27 touchdowns. Give it to Reed.
Joyner in motion. 2nd and 10. It's Chandler! Did he catch it? Yes! Oh my! 3 touchdowns, the hat trick for Chandler. Again, first down pass play and good protection. And going on to Logan, intercepted. Everson Walls has it again. What a player he is.
Okay, number 9, got a little creative here. A wideout and cornerback have never split the MVP, but 1982 would have been the year to do it. When it comes to production from a receiver, look no further than Wes Chandler's campaign. In a strike-shortened season, San Diego's deep threat recorded 49 catches for more than 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns in only 8 games. Everson Walls was just as productive on the other side of the ball, tormenting offenses across the league. 7 picks in 9 games for the NFL's 3rd-ranked scoring defense. So who took home MVP honors in that strange year? Well, probably the first and last time a kicker's ever going to do it. It was Mark Mosley. That's not a joke. He nailed 20 of 21 field goals, including a couple of game winners, as the Redskins went on to win Super Bowl 17.
Watch him now. Sayers, NFL Rookie of the Year. A one-man Gale. Dashing 85 dazzling yards on the longest punt return of the season. Here he is, galloping Gale, carrying the mail. This is his 6th touchdown of the game.
You could make a case that Gale Sayers is the most versatile player in NFL history, or at least one of them. As a rookie in 1965, Sayers led the Bears to a 9-5 season after they were terrible the year before. He amassed more than 2,200 all-purpose yards and 22 touchdowns in 14 games. He scored touchdowns in 4 different ways, and 7 of his 22 scores were from 50 yards out or more. That's incredible. Now, it's tough to argue against Jim Brown, who played his final season that year. He led the league in rushing and scored a career-high 21 touchdowns on an 11-3 team that made it to the championship game. But we're going with Sayers.
Look for Priest Holmes here. Here he goes. He's got that. Touchdown. NFL record.
Chiefs running back Priest Holmes may have deserved back-to-back MVPs in 2002 and 2003. Instead, voters told him, "You'll get nothing and like it." The man gained more than 2,100 yards from scrimmage and set an NFL record with 27 total touchdowns. At 30 years old, that's when running backs are usually going downhill. As for the winners, we had co-MVPs that year, Steve McNair and Peyton Manning. McNair went 10-4 in 14 games, throwing 24 touchdowns, and led the league in passer rating. It was Manning's first of 5 career Most Valuable Player awards, but neither of these quarterbacks matched the otherworldly production of Priest Holmes.
Back to throw is Staubach. He waits, he runs to his left, being pursued all the way back to the 5-yard line, coming back to the 10, back off to his right, gets a block from Mander, throws the ball downfield to Reed, at 35.
Number 6, here's a legit question. Would we think of the 71 Cowboys the same way we think of the undefeated 72 Dolphins if Roger Staubach had started every game that season? Staubach went 10-0 as a starter and had a passer rating of 104.8. 104.8. That was the highest single-season passer rating of the 1970s. That would be like having a 125 passer rating today. Staubach threw 15 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions and led the Cowboys to their first ever Super Bowl victory against that same Dolphin team that would go undefeated the next year. While Staubach suffered from lack of playing time while Tom Landry figured out whether he was going to play him or Craig Morton, Vikings defensive tackle Alan Page became the first defensive player to win MVP that year. Page anchored a defense that allowed just under 10 points a game in 1971.
Derek Thomas, the shot in the back, and Craig, that ball went up in the air.
Now Cunningham on a broken play is running across the 50, 45, 40, 35, 70. Now the near sideline, Cunningham, the touchdown!
Those two supreme athletes had every right to the 1990 MVP award. So we're going to put them together and say that Randall Cunningham and Derek Thomas deserved co-MVPs that year. Cunningham posted arguably the greatest rushing season by a quarterback ever with more than 900 yards on the ground. And that's on top of 30 passing touchdowns to just 13 picks. Thomas's 1990 season was one for the ages, by far his best as a pro. The Chiefs linebacker tallied 20 sacks, including 7 in one game. At just 23 years old, Thomas took the league by storm, leading Kansas City to its first playoff appearance in 4 years. All right, sure, the MVP that year, the real MVP that year, Joe Montana, did go 14-1 in San Francisco's three-peat bid, but he also threw a career-high 16 interceptions. The passing yards were there, but the usual Joe Montana efficiency did not match that of his 1989 MVP run.
They're 2 of 9 on conversion. Here's a handoff to Chris Johnson. Johnson hurdling. Watch out! Johnson again puts it back. Touchdown, Tennessee! Woo!
7 running backs have hit the 2,000-yard mark in a single season. 3 of them failed to take home the MVP, and that includes Chris Johnson, who even earned the nickname CJ2K. He was easily the fastest back in the league, and his 5.6 yards per carry kind of proved it. He got it done through the air as well, still holding the record for most scrimmage yards in a single season. While Johnson never came close to reaching that mark again, Peyton Manning won the second of his back-to-back MVPs that year. The Colts went 14-2, while Manning passed for 4,500 yards and 33 touchdowns. Great year, but you got to give Johnson some love.
Barber and Hill pitches back to Dickerson. A lone setback, and he cuts back. Got some good yardage. Dickerson can run. Eric Dickerson still going. Dickerson will go.
Another rookie. Yeah, another snub. Much like Sayers in 1965, Eric Dickerson burst onto the scene and blew the competition out of the water. A league-high 1,808 rushing yards to go along with 20 total touchdowns in 1983. To put his effect in perspective, the Rams went 8-17 in the 2 years prior to drafting Dickerson. In '83, they went 9-7 and earned a trip to the divisional round. Joe Theismann seemed to get the quarterback on the best team in the league treatment that year. You know how that works. Don't get me wrong, Theismann was an excellent player and certainly deserves mention, but the Rams were a completely different team with 2-9 in the backfield.
Third down, 3rd and 12, and the ball's out. And recovered by Watt. He's on his feet. He was never touched down. Could he have his 3rd touchdown of the season? Yes, he does. J.J. Watt.
Perhaps the most unique season from a defensive player ever. J.J. Watt was all over the field in 2014. And I'm not even talking about defense.
Throws left side of the end zone. Watts, J.J. Watt. Touchdown! Right side to Watt. J.J. with the catch. Touchdown, Houston!
Okay, now that we got his work as a tight end out of the way, Watt was easily the best defensive player in the NFL in 2014, posting 20.5 sacks, 5 fumble recoveries, an interception, and oh, by the way, 2 more scores. 5 touchdowns for a defensive lineman. Think about that. How did that season not win MVP? Well, Aaron Rodgers was pretty spectacular that year. 38 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on a 12-4 Packer team.
Probably thought that was a great ball. Over the middle for
Rice. Without a shadow of a doubt, the most egregious MVP snub in league history is Jerry Rice in 1987. Rice recorded 65 catches for 1,078 yards. And get this, 23 total touchdowns. 12 games, 23 touchdowns. That's insane. Totally insane. Rice was on pace for 30 touchdowns if he played a 16-game season. The Niners won 13 games that year, earning the NFC's top seed. Yet somehow, some way, Broncos quarterback John Elway ended up with the honor. Now, Elway was a one-man band for a Broncos team that went to the Super Bowl. He had a solid season, but 23 touchdowns in 12 games. That's your top MVP snub of all time.